I want to introduce you to my guest, Frank Bellicastro. He is from Independence, USA. You are one wild man. Wow. One wild man. I've been watching making the gunpowder. I'm like, there are things that I'm sure we're never, ever going to have to do.
No, that's probably the case. But, you know, what I like to do is I like to think about, you know, making sure that I'm prepared for the immediate and then to also work towards building up our own infrastructure so that when this infrastructure collapses, we have our own to fall back on.
Yeah, I was being sarcastic. We're absolutely going to have to make your own gunpowder at some point. Justin Erickson is here. He's the CEO of Food Insurance. Jack Spirko is here. He's the host of the Survival Podcast. And Walt Mayfield, the manager of the North Texas section of the American Radio Relay League, which we'll get to here in a second. Where should we begin? Let's start because you two are kind of in the same kind of place to where you are trying to help people prepare for any eventuality on anything, and also you know neither of you want to panic anybody or make anybody think that no, you're crazy, because it could be any of these things, right? It could be job loss, hurricane, blackouts, solar flares, major economic collapse, terrorist attack, but it could be just a tornado that hit. So let's start here, and let's say all of you guys, job loss. Where do we even begin to prepare for job loss and swine flu pandemic?
Well, those two might seem very different, but I mean, I've been doing my show now for 4 years, and I always start out with the job loss because it makes it easy to understand why you should be prepared no matter what happens. And I don't want to scare people. I want people to be responsible for their own lives. I want people to step up and be prepared. And we look at all of these things up there on the list, and a lot of people have been affected by these, but about 9 million people lost a job between 2008 and 2009. If preparing for something that happened to 9 million people is crazy, then call me crazy. I think it's probably a good idea.
So where do you start with job loss?
With job loss, you start with stuff that doesn't sound a lot like prepping, like getting out of debt, better management of your expenses. But we can start to do other things like food storage and bring that in as well. If we have, just say, 90 days worth of food stored up in the house and Dad loses a job, that's one thing we don't have to worry about for 3 months while Dad looks for a new job. And I think a lot of people miss that. They don't realize how all these things are connected. Sure, if there's a complete economic collapse, being able to feed yourself is important. We got to feed ourselves whether there's an economic collapse or not.
I have to tell you, when I first did food storage and got food storage down, I actually, and you might know, even have heard stories like this. I don't think I'm unusual. But the weight that I didn't even know that was there, that was lifted off my shoulders, I sat on my basement stairs because we were really proud of it. I mean, we worked a long time to get the food storage up. And when it was finally finished, I went downstairs, and it was late at night, and I turned on the basement lights, and I sat on the stairs, and I just looked at it. And I'm going to get choked up just saying this. And I actually wept because I was so relieved that I knew I could drop dead tomorrow, I could lose my job, and my family could eat for a year. And the weight that we all carry around is phenomenal. You hear that from other people?
Yeah, we hear it a lot, and I can vouch for that myself. I've got young children, and just to see, sometimes I'll just stand and look at my food supply and think, geez, if something really happened to my family, would I be prepared? Would I be able to feed my kids? Because they're totally dependent upon me and my wife. And so we receive letters all the time, and a lot of them are from your listeners that just say, thanks a lot. We didn't expect something like this to happen, but we had these friends who were in this situation, and we were able to help them out. It's just a great thing to be a part of.
Are you... I think we're in a different place. I'm the worst positioned guy, I think, in America, because everybody knows you can find where I live. I've been broadcasting for 5 years what I'm doing to prepare. People know I have extra food, which, by the way, I've eaten it all. It's all gone. I mean, are we getting to a place now, Frank, where you should say, shh, do these things and keep it to yourself?
No, I don't think so. I think it's really important that we need to reach out to people and we need to make them aware that they need to be ready. They need to prepare. All the things that you talked about, that the both of you talked about, the good feelings that you get from being prepared is a big part of it. Even if nothing terrible does happen, and I'm not saying that it's not gonna, that whole feeling that you get from being prepared and the togetherness that it brings with your family and your community is a really, really big plus. But to answer your question, I'm really worried myself about that kind of stuff too, because people have been now reaching out to me, and I'm starting to get a little bit more frightened about what people are aware of what I'm doing.
People will come. I hear this all the time. My family says it to me, and I'll say, oh no, my family's not going to be where you think we're going to be. And by the way, I know you're my brother, but I've told you, I've helped you, I've done everything I can at this point. This thing comes down, we're not going to be where you think we're going to be, and sorry. Because you have to be with people that are not going to drag everything down, quite honestly. If they didn't prepare, I hear it all the time. I know where I'm going. Really? Well, I know what I'm loading.
Well, you know, there is a place for operational security. But on the other side, you know, I'm very public with what I do too. And people know, of course, that I store food, I have preparations. But I'm mission-oriented the way you are. I want America to be prepared. The only way we're going to get through this is to get more people to be prepared. And you were just talking in the beginning about all the threats to our liberty. The reason there's so many threats to our liberty out there is nobody's prepared for anything. So when the government says, oh, you got to have this, or oh, you got to have that, or, you know, we're going to have to cancel this program, people freak out. No, 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 please don't take that away from me. If you start teaching people to look after themselves, feed themselves, look after their community, feed their family, feed their neighbors, when the government says we'll have to cancel this, what response are you going to get? The response you're going to get is, I don't care, do it. And that's where we have to get as a nation if we're going to survive.
If we're prepared, we get a better response than that. We're like, please, please do it. Why is it taking you so long? So the food that I've been telling people recently to put food in and have more than just your family, because you know other people are going to be hungry, and what are you going to do? Turn them away? I mean, really, seriously, what are you going to do? But let me go to hurricane or tornado. I watched the people in Indiana, and I thought, if I had my food and my house has just been sucked up into the tornado, all my food's gone. What do you do in that situation?
Well,
Anybody?
I mean, what you have to do right from the beginning, especially if you live in an area like North Texas where that's a threat, is understand you don't store all your stuff and all your food in one place and in your house. One of the things that you can do very inexpensively right now, if you consider $4,000 to $6,000 inexpensively, is pick up an RV, get storage for it for about $100 a month, put that 10, 12 miles from your house. The odds that both of those are going to hit by the same tornado are very low, and put some of your storage there. The problem that a lot of people get when they get into food storage or any type of preparations is they put everything in one place. Well, our grandparents would have told us, don't count all your eggs, or don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? Well, we have to follow the same rules. A lot of this stuff is not complicated. If we just listen to all the things that we were told just a few generations ago and start practicing today and marry the modern technology to them, we can get a lot further, a lot faster. Our grandparents would look at the opportunity we have today, and they would wonder why we're squandering it.
What are people calling you for food insurance? How far out are they? How long of food storage are they looking for?
Oh, it ranges anywhere from, a few days to several years, really. I mean, we've typically people are looking between 3 and 6 months and then they add to those things. They start with what we have as a base, and then they add things. A lot of people will just buy a year's supply of our stuff and have it there just in case. And it's light, it's easy to move, it's convenient. But I agree, if it's all in one place, you might have some problems. But you've talked about being self-reliant, and if your neighbor and your family members and everyone else do the same thing, then you may get wiped out, but you've got a family member across town or in another state that's totally able to help out. So if everybody does it, it works really well. If it's only you and you get wiped out, you could be in a bit of a pickle.
You're trying to put this together in your community,
Yeah.
where everybody is trying. You're trying to.
That's the balance. That's the reason why I feel good about being out there, with the show and letting people know what we're doing. As counterintuitive as it may be to to what it is that we're doing. That's the important fact. No one can be up 24 hours a day. No one can protect what they have 24 hours a day. You need to have a community, a small group of people that you can trust, that you can work together with. Otherwise, it's really not worth surviving.
When's the last time, has anybody watched Little House on the Prairie recently? May I recommend that you go get that DVD, especially if you have small kids, and watch it. My family and I, we've been watching it for the last month, and I didn't realize, first of all, I'm watching it again, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. It's like Sunday morning television now. It seems like the God hour. I don't remember, does anybody remember that being really, really religious? I mean, it starts with like the second episode with Pa Ingalls out giving praise to the Lord for his wheat. And I'm like, whoa, this was on television. It's amazing to me, but it shows really, Frank, what you show every week on the network, which is you don't begin to even understand the self-reliance, what it really, truly means. And I want to talk to Walt a little bit about communication. I cannot tell you in strong enough terms that man's freedom of speech is in real, dire jeopardy. It may all pass. It may all be fine. I'm a guy building a network. If I'm right on this, all of everything I'm building is worthless. I'm telling you, I'm moving forward with faith in the protection of divine providence. But I will tell you that I am seeing things happening now that I have not. I got into radio when I was 13 years old. I know this industry. I've never seen anything like what's happening right now, and it is only going to get much, much worse. Walt's here, and we're going to take a quick break, and he'll come back, and I want you to talk a little bit about what ham radio is. Nicholas, we asked before the show. How old are you, Nicholas?
15.
15 years old. He's sitting right here in the front in the green sweater. Nicholas, we asked him a minute ago, do you even know what a ham radio is? Never even heard of one.
Heard of one, but I don't know what it is.
But you don't know what it is. Nicholas, you better learn what this is. We'll show you what it is and how you should possibly consider getting started in this as a hobby coming up.